Hey everybody, welcome to Heroes House. I'm Paul,
And I'm Patrick.
and today we're going to be talking about predictions for 2022. You might have remembered
That's
that,
right.
yeah. So we you might have remembered that we did a video just at the end of the year going through our predictions for 2021 and how good and right we were, kind of thing. So we
I
decided to,
love it.
yeah, we
It didn't
decided,
go to our heads at all, folks.
yeah,
We went straight into the 2022. Our first show was like, let's do a prediction show again. Because last year, as much as we thought all of our predictions would be completely wrong, because we're mildly intelligent people at best sometimes, I think, when it comes to all this, but we're also woefully wacky and tend to just pick things to entertain ourselves. But as it turns out, when we did our little review, we were right about a lot of stuff. So I know that's not going to happen twice, Paul. So tonight's video, predicting everything wrong for 2022. Yay.
yeah, we're gonna, yeah, yeah. It's one of those things where you kind of like, yeah, because the Netflix one was a real surprise because like they really went weird with that whole merchandise. Like,
And
yeah,
thank God they did, because it gave us another point on the board.
that's true.
I've
Yeah,
got a few tonight that, and not to give the game away, folks, but I had to send Paul my list just before the show, so he would have had time to completely familiarize himself. But there's one of them that'll probably surprise
yeah. Like I only added the images and then kind of added my images. So,
him. So,
uh,
Paul, kick us off into 2022. Like, subscribe, share, click notification bells, all that good stuff for all of 2022. Now we never have to say it again in any more videos. Anybody who's joined us, welcome and thank you very much.
okay. So, which goes in our which goes so yeah, I'll kick us off, and I'll kick us off with a kind of probably one that people will probably realize that's probably going to going to happen soon. Which is it's Apple TV purchasing a studio. Um, yeah, so it's a little bit more kind of businessy kind of thing, but I think
I like it.
we've talked about how Apple TV is the lowest rung streaming service. That
You're
should
being
be,
very polite. If you look at our old videos, we crapped all over Apple TV for 2018 and 2019. And then in 2020 and 2021, realized, oh gosh, they have a lot of things that we might want to watch.
look, I think
Evolution.
our yeah, like I think our pushing of like
Yeah,
their bad service has made them do things. They were just like, you know what, we're gonna get something good for these two guys,
that's
and we're gonna
it.
make them
Pressure
kind of
makes diamonds, Paul, and we made Apple TV the success it is. Us alone.
yeah. So like yeah, we push the industry forward with our predictions and our
I like
poo
to think so.
pooing of things. Yeah, I believe that Apple TV is going to purchase a studio, which is I think it's going to be Lionsgate because it's close to Sony Pictures, because Sony Pictures and Apple TV have worked really closely together, but because of Sony's kind of interaction with Disney, I think, and so Sony and Lionsgate work really close together on a lot of projects. Sony now works with Disney quite a lot on the Marvel stuff, and they're doing really well with it. And they're also gearing up to kind of have a Spider Verse part of the Marvel universe. So it doesn't make sense for them to try and buy Sony because Sony's going to just explode in value. And also, I have a sneaking suspicion maybe another year will be that Disney buys Sony as well to kind of bring in all of their toys. But I think Apple TV is going to purchase Lionsgate, because I know that Rourke is trying to buy into Lionsgate, and I think Apple TV will just overrule them and get them.
I like this pick. I like this pick because I ended up one of my predictions I cut, which was that there would be some M&A, mergers and acquisitions when it comes to stuff, and I couldn't get too sort of specific enough to kind of turn it into predictions. I was like, I don't know, maybe Netflix will do a deal with Spotify. I was thinking there would be some cross-platform stuff, YouTube and fucking whatever. Amazon Prime might get together. Who knows? Whatever it might be. But I like this because I think you're right that Apple TV are the ones that are now they're in that where Disney Plus was 2 years ago, where HBO was 1 year ago. I think Apple TV, and Apple as a corporation are primed to be the next one to make a big move of some sort. And with Netflix and their Albuquerque studio, HBO with Warner Brothers, etc., I think what you're saying makes an awful lot of sense, but is also out there enough to be a good risky prediction.
Yeah, I didn't want to leave it with Apple TV, but like purchasing a studio. I wanted to have like a specific studio, and I know a lot of people are. I know a lot of people are banking on Sony. There's some wild accusations about Disney being bought over by Apple TV. If you like, it's a big if. There's several other companies, there's several other large conglomerates, which will probably stop that from happening because they probably have Disney on their they probably have Disney like AT&T or like another communications company, or current Google might just decide to step its foot into the ring, and Disney would be a perfect
Look, Elon Musk might buy them all. Who knows? It's getting scary out there in the big money merger market that's possible the next few years. So I'm really glad there's one on our list for 2022, and I'm really glad it's so specific. And also, I think I'm going to say I'm backing you on this one 100%, Paul, because I think it's very insightful.
I'm hoping Lionsgate is going to be the one now because I get that 100% then. So I hope so.
Well, look, after last year's performance, we win this predictions game forever anyway. So what's up next?
Well, what one do you want to pick?
Oh, I'll tell you what. Will we stick on the business end? So of mine, let's pick. I basically did a quick selection, folks, of movies that I think will make the money that they're expecting to make and possibly more, and movies that won't make what the studios are hoping or predicting. Now, none of this is an indication of quality. So let's start, Paul, with the ones that will hit.
Yeah.
So Avatar 2, I think, will make the money. I should have put this politely. Paul, I've gone on record as not being at all interested in Avatar 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, because I'm one of the few people who didn't really think that much of the first movie. I know it's sacrilege to say anything bad about Avatar, but I do think, however, my taste aside, I think this thing will make billion plus. It's going to be $1 billion club easy. I think it's going to be one of the Hollywood successes. Even pandemic aside, which who knows what the future will look like. Just like Spider-Man No Way Home did it, Avatar will be able to do it. Same thing, Jurassic World Dominion. Paul, the Jurassic World movies didn't do it for me the way Jurassic Park did. Again, not one that I'm that pumped about. But you make a big dinosaur movie, you tend to make $1 billion again. I think they're going to make the money.
Yeah, I do think this is. Yeah, I think because it's now going to be kind of on the coattails of Jurassic Park Lost World, which was the one that Jeff Goldblum was the main kind of character. Because we got that little hint of like, oh, dinosaurs in the real world, like running down, like I think it was California, either LA or San Francisco or something like that. Yeah, like I think a lot of people are going to jump on board with this Dominion thing of kind of going like, oh my god, they're not on the island anymore and they're in New York City.
I think it's lovely. I actually heard somebody say the phrase, it's brilliant. Ever since Jurassic Park, we've all been thinking, wouldn't it be amazing if they managed to get the dinosaurs off the island and, into a populated area like New York or San Francisco, but not like the time they tried to and had Jeff Goldblum in the convertible. It's like, we all know that they did it once really badly. So people are really pumped to see if it can be done well. One way or another, these movies, they make money. I think they're going to probably, Avatar 2, Jurassic World, will surpass their projections. I think they're going to make the money. Their cinema events, they'll make the box office. Yeah, the Batman is my less safe. Oh, sorry.
I just was going to say, I think also, do you think that the Jeff Goldblum like convertible thing was an old tie back to like dinosaurs and Cadillacs?
Dinosaurs and Cadillacs. Nice callback. For any of you who were in an arcade or played video games circa 1997, I don't know when that was, maybe 2000.
It was a cartoon.
Yeah, Dinosaurs and Cadillacs. Good memory. Gosh, I'd forgotten that game existed. Batman, Paul. This is one of the ones that I think will do well, and I'm also pumped for. I think the Batman, the Pattinson Batman, will be great, just like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker was great. I think we're going to be spoiled with some of the good standalone DC content. I also think that this will pull people out. Batman, much like Spider-Man, pulls people out of homes and into movie theaters. I think their PR campaign has been strong. I know that the Darkest Timeline and our current worldwide health status is going to affect box office, but I actually think this thing will, much like Spider-Man did, it'll hit projections and probably surpass them.
I think so because we haven't had a Batman standalone film since the Nolans.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, I think this is going to be, and as we've seen with the Joker standalone film, I think, yeah, I definitely think that Batman's definitely gonna like kick the. DC are just amazing at their one-offs, and I don't like. It's just kind of bring it all together, lads. You can bring it all together and make it work. A universe, you can do it. Just take your time. Which
Yep.
we've said kind of a lot.
So Paul, and I'll quickly get my so Avatar. As much as I have no interest. I think it'll make all the money. I'll watch dinosaurs. So will everybody else, even though I doubt there'll be a whole lot of artistic merit to the movies. Batman is my 2 thumbs up on both ends. I think it'll make all the monies and also make all the smiles.
Yeah.
Now the ones that I think will miss their projections, Paul. Top Gun 2. I've got a bunch of sequels here because there's a ton of sequels in 2022. It's all the twos because there's Top Gun Maverick, which is Top Gun 2. I don't think it's as culturally, pop culturally relevant as it was. Like, it's a long, long time ago since people were making Top Gun references. It just is. I think there'll be a huge section of people who will want to see it. There'll be people like me. Unfortunately, there's going to be an awful lot of people of my age who this is aimed at, who are not cinema goers, and particularly not in times of danger. I can see this one being one of those that people will be very happy to catch on streaming, and that there will be a huge amount of piracy among people of a certain age. But I don't see it making its money. I would say it'll be one of those, Tom Cruise couldn't pull in the money on this one. I think that'll be the headlines you see.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Paul, the other two, well, Aquaman 2, I don't think Momoa and Aquaman, I don't think it has the juice. It surprised everybody. Was like, but the first one made $1 billion. I'm like, yeah, but were you expecting that? And it took a long time to make it. This is more of a Venom 2 kind of scenario for me. I think people will be surprised by the performance of the first one. I don't know if I see people running out to see the second one. I think, especially now that people are used to the idea of streaming, I think Aquaman will be one of those that doesn't necessarily get the butts and seats.
Yeah, like I think, yeah, I do agree with the fact that Aquaman's gonna drop, and I think it's because it's the next DC Universe movie since Wonder Woman, I believe. Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah, which I saw, and it's a mess. Which we haven't talked about actually. But
it's a mess. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Aquaman 2 is it's coming out of a bad line of stuff, so I don't think it's gonna do well. Top Gun, I definitely think that you're right. They haven't pushed the nostalgia and pop culture, like I guess angle in the marketing, so I don't think it's gonna do well.
Yeah, I like just on the Aquaman and Top Gun. I think they have as good a chance as any to be mediocre films, or at the very best description, films I'll still really enjoy. I just think financially they won't make it. Now, here's one that I think I'll absolutely love: Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2, as most people will call it. It has a longer, more official title now, but let's call it Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2 for the worldwide audience. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, folks. Everybody realized after Spider-Verse came out, the first one, that they should have gone and seen it in the cinema. I saw it in the cinema. I was pumped for it. I absolutely loved it. Wanted to go back a second time before it left the cinema. Didn't get to. Everybody remembers it fondly, but the majority of people remember watching it on Netflix. And here's the thing. There is a prejudice that we cannot overlook when it comes to box office, and that is getting adults and people to go and see even something they know is going to be a fantastic film, getting them to go and see something that's animated. and not Pixar animated. I mean animated in an interesting and unusual style. The first one made, it made whatever 200 million or in that ballpark. I think this one will be probably making the same. Whereas I know there's a lot of people going, but everybody knows it's probably the best Spider-Man film that's ever been made with Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
People should be pumped for this one. They will, but will they actually leave their house? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that assessment and the kind of like, yeah, I understand. I understand it's difficult to get people out to an animated film, and especially during the darkest timeline. And like, yeah, I think it's a combination of that kind of thing. Like, but I will put a hashtag on this or a asterisk on this. If there's any animated film that I think could do it that isn't a Pixar film, I do think the Spider Verse could do it. Like, kind of thing. Like, but because I also want the points, I want it to fail. Not fail.
Well, no,
but
there's the thing. I want it to succeed. This is one that I absolutely, massively want to succeed, and I think, I haven't seen it yet. Maybe it's terrible, but past performance and based on what they did in the first movie, it is one of the best movies I've seen in the last 20 years. Easy, I can easily say that. I don't even have to think twice. If they can even bring 75% as much quality to this, then it's going to be good and worth seeing in a movie theater. I just don't think I don't think we, even with our mighty powers, the people who turned Apple around,
yeah,
I don't think you and I will be able to convince enough people to go out and see it.
No,
which is a shame.
Yeah, I'll be closely watching that one, that prediction, just because I'll be interested in seeing which elements are right, kind of thing. I know I'm going to go see it in the cinema.
And so am I. And I'm possibly going to see this one twice in the cinema if it's good, because I really do regret not going back a second time, because it was it was planned and then work got in the way. So Paul, just before we go to the next one, do you fancy a few comments?
Yeah, let's jump into the comments.
Cool. We're not going to read all the comments, folks, out loud, but I'd like to say Happy New Year to all of you who were nice enough to say Happy New Year to us. And I've lost my chat window, Paul, so I rearranged things on screen if you want to pick up from there.
Hey, Lisa. Hey, haven't caught you guys on live in a bit. Looking forward to these predictions. Like, Happy New Year. Hopefully some of her predictions are interesting enough. I predict next year will be 2023. Good one. I like it. Pop culture. Which goes purchases studio, nicely vague. Hey, purchases studio, perfect. Purchases Lionsgate.
Lionsgate. That went in before, yeah.
Apple TV can buy Disney. That would be my pick. Mostly like something like A24, which they strong partnership. They strong partnership with Sony, and I think that because Lionsgate and Sony are pretty much connected quite closely, I think Lionsgate will be the one, kind of thing. So,
and I can kind of take over on some Avatar stuff then, Paul, if you want to read further down past the Avatar section, because there's a great conversation in our chat about does anybody even really remember Avatar, and also pointing out that Avatar had the 3D going for it to make all the money that it did. Yeah, factoring all that in, I genuinely can't believe that I'm voting for this thing to make a load of money. I just know that it will. I don't think it'll be for good reasons. I'm pretty sure that they're going to hype the idea. They'll try and bring back the nostalgia for all the people who are like, do you remember what visiting Pandora and losing yourself in that immersive world? Which, if anybody really remembers back, the 3D was impressive, but it's not, we weren't exactly through the looking glass into a complete other place. It was still just 3D cinema. It was good for the time. I don't know how much that'll stack up.
Yeah. Which goes MG. I got predictions for 2020. Viacom CBS is sold to a bigger company. Yeah. Disney buys Toho Animation. It's not going to be unrealistic. Peacock relaunches with new content. I will disagree with Peacock relaunching with new content, because I completely forgot that was the streaming service. Completely forgot about it. I don't think they're good enough to play like in. I think if there's casualties of the streaming wars, I think Peacock was like walked into the arena and everybody shot it in the face, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's got ground to make up. I think it'll be one of those journeyman kind of footballer type things. You know, they hang around and they just move different teams, and they'll just struggle on for a long time. I don't think they'll ever disappear, but I don't think they'll ever make it towards the top. I see Lisa's calling out that don't think Spider-Verse 2 will do well. You think a lot of people will go to it? I hope they do. I know more people are excited about Spider-Verse 2 than any MCU. That's true. But then get those people plus the people that you need to go to a movie to make the big numbers. And again, I'm not saying this thing's not going to make 50 million. I don't think it's going to break the 500 million is more where I'd be worried about. And I think it should be making, if Venom can make 800 million, this thing should be making 800 million. But it probably won't even pass 4. Avatar was. Oh, I'll let you take over, Paul, because I half read that and I thought it said something else for a second.
Yeah, I want Aquaman 2 to flop because it stars an abuser. I do agree, MJ, with that a little bit, which goes, it's the I don't the I can't remember her name. She's the partner.
Are you talking about Amber Heard?
Yeah.
I gotta be honest with you. I don't want to be calling anybody an abuser unless I know for sure that it's the case.
Well, it's the court. I think the court hearing came out and said that it was like close, because it's just this weird. I'm not gonna. Okay, allegedly abuser. I will say I will redact my original thing. My only point is that I do not like the fact that they got rid of Johnny Depp on the Harry Potter films, and Amber Heard hasn't been removed, kind of thing, and nothing has come out of that kind of thing. But that's the only part I'm gonna ever talk about it ever again.
Gotcha.
Avatar was this to show off your new HD TV and Blu-ray, but beyond that, the story is not great. Yeah. It was using those new cameras that eventually James Cameron gave to the Transformers guys. So
yeah, I think we better jump back into some content. Thank you all for your comments. We'll be spinning back to the comment section in a little while.
Yeah. So I'll grab the reins for the next prediction. My next prediction is to do with the MCU, so it's closely knit to your old to the one that you just came out with. It's Kevin Feige is going to take full control of the Lucasfilms and Star Wars kind of management. He's helping out with the TV shows right now, but I think he's going to take over the full reins. He's done such a good job with the MCU that another one of my predictions is the MCU is kind of started to go a little bit downhill. But I think he might be smart enough to jump ship and go to a new franchise that definitely needs his help.
Well, it's funny, there's a lot to unpack with what you just said, simply because no one's ever going to bet against Kevin Feige unless they're crazy, because that's you don't bet against a racehorse that's won that many races. It's Kathleen Kennedy, everything that's involved in the behind the scenes politics of everything in Disney since Bob Iger stepped down, and new Bob from the parks hasn't had the easiest run, and whether or not Kevin Feige will be making a move up the ladder. I'm going to go with you up to the point that I actually agree that there will be movement. I don't know if he'll get complete control of Lucasfilm because Kathleen Kennedy's still there. But I'm now, as far as the MCU maybe starting to go on a slide, I think we're already starting to see that. I think the cracks have appeared, and I'm not talking just Dark World or Ant-Man cracks where not everyone's a winner. More just the overall average quality is starting, that average is starting to come down. That was always Marvel's big thing. So many of their movies, for every miss they had 10 hits. Now it's for every hit they have a miss.
Yeah, no, I agree there. I guess I don't mean that he'll take over full control of the business sides of Lucasfilms and stuff like that. I think he'll be brought in as the controller for the creative side and kind of have free reign over it. Because as I said, we both agree he's done quite well with the Marvel universe, that I think, and he's smart enough to kind of go, the cracks are showing because we're going into heroes that people don't really know.
Yeah. And well, let's put it this way: Fantastic Four and X-Men will be showing up soon, and they'll be like putty to cover cracks. I think they're going to probably have to rush it now to be like, gosh, we really need to make sure we get some familiar names back out there.
Yeah, they're going to be lifeboats in the middle of kind of you have to meet a whole bunch of new characters and stuff, But don't worry, You know, here's John Krasinski and Emily Blunt as Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic. Um,
I wonder has that ship sailed? I think that ship has sailed too.
yeah,
It'd be the most amazing. It would have been brilliant. It's one of those things that I think we'll all lament. We have a whole video about it. Go back and check our old library. Paul, I think it's a good one. And okay, so you're saying kind of creative direction in
yeah,
Lucasfilm. I think that's possibly yeah. I think that's a
yeah.
pretty
Like
damn good prediction.
yeah, because he's already helping out with the TV shows a little bit, so I think they might as well just give him control of the movies as well if you're going to give us a new franchise, kind of to get excited about.
And it's whether or not he can get on with TV people in the Marvel side of things, which he historically hasn't. Can he get on with the likes of Dave Filoni, who's doing the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and all that kind of stuff? Well, more the Mandalorian, and who did Clone Wars and is involved from the game side of stuff as well, from what I know. I think if you find him hitting off, if they spark well together, it might be the sort of thing. Kevin Feige, once you've ruled the world, and then he wept because there were no more worlds to conquer until he sees there's one more world to conquer. So you never know; it might actually light his fire. It's a really interesting prediction. I'm really looking forward to seeing. I'm looking forward to this time next year now because that's a curious one.
Yeah, just to see. Do you want to go into your next one?
Sure. I'll make it quick too. 45-day release window. That's what we're going to have after all of the farting around. I'm just going to use the word. It's messing around for all of you who are not Irish, but for Irish people, it would be called a lot of farting around. Yeah, the HBO doing their day and date. Universal with 19 days, 13 days, all sorts of people trying stuff with Trolls too, and go straight to PVOD, go straight to your streaming service, all the rest. I think both Disney, HBO Max, and others are starting to come around to the idea that, okay, we've experimented enough. We now know the best path. And the best path is always decided for these companies by money. And HBO did not see the return that they would have liked. And thanks to things like Spider-Man showing them that you still can make big box office even during the darkest timeline, I think that one's going to start solidifying itself and we'll be back to normality. I don't see any more experimentation coming back this year. I know a lot of people are still predicting it and still thinking, well, people are going to come up with new ideas and they'll be reacting month to month based, like Morbius was delayed again. Delays, yes, but actually pulling from release completely, I don't think it'll be done in the same way that HBO Max and HBO Warner Brothers did it previously. So I think that's just going to become a standard. I think this is maybe the most boring of all my predictions because it's the one I would actually put my own money on that we won't see any more farting around this year.
Yeah, did you see that they took Disney? They took Spider-Man off Disney Plus.
I didn't notice actually.
Yeah, I a friend of mine was saying that they were going to watch it, and then they went to look for it on Disney Plus. It was gone. So as in, like, they were just like, I saw it on Disney Plus. I was going to watch it, and then it was gone. So
I wonder, is that any of the, there's the rolling contracts where basically for half a year, one group will own it in Europe and then the rights revert to another and another and another, the way they've sold these things on. I wonder, is that coincidence or is it for telling us something else?
this is the new one.
Oh, the new one, like
Yeah.
the most recent one?
Yeah.
Oh, crikey. I thought you meant like the...
Like,
oh.
Yeah, so like I don't know if that was a mistake, like as in they released it a little bit too early or what. But it happened a couple of days ago.
It's not due out until March, April for home. Wow, that's interesting. We'll talk about that after. Wow. Well, and just last thing on that 45-day, I want to say big shout out to all the people out there that like, but I liked the same day release at home because I can't go to the cinema, or I have we had one of our viewers made a great case for it, saying, look, it's nice for me to be able to watch these releases with my family and with my kids, and it's not easy to get out and do these things. All empathy in the world. I'm saying this is good for cinemas, which is why I'm all for it. But also, and this is going to sound cold, and I don't mean it in any cold way. You'll still be able to see these things. Unfortunately, you're just going to have 45 days of trying to avoid spoilers for some big films. For other films, you'll still get them on the streaming services. It's just going to be a month and a half later. I know that's not the same, and like I get it, but if we went the other way, then there may not be any cinemas anymore. So my heart goes out, but there's a whole industry that I am very invested in emotionally that I want to continue. Yeah. So that's where my heart lies in this one, but it still does go out to everybody that the other system worked for.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So what have you got, Paul?
I'll jump into a quick one, which is it's my safety, I guess it would be, is that we're gonna see an increase in mainstream Korean TV shows and films. We've already seen it with Squid Game, The Silent Sea, and these two new films which are coming out in 2022, which should be big hits for us. That is Emergency Declared and The Point Men. They're kind of coming out as juggernauts of the Korean film industry. So yeah, I think there'll be more Korean mainstream kind of elements away from the K-drama stuff, but more kind of accessible kind of stories like Squid Game and Silent Sea kind of thing. So
I think you're right. I think Squid Game's done what Old Boy and a few other films had done previously, just to a much bigger level of opening up the Western world's eyes to Korean cinema in particular. I think that would be great too.
Yeah, it would be very good. So yeah, quickly, I think that's a safety one anyway, because I think that's going to happen anyway, because like BTS is like exploding through the world right now. So
are they still a thing? Because I feel like that. I feel like since I never got into the whole K-pop stuff, I now know that I've known about them for long enough that, God, they must be older, and there's probably like I don't know, another acronym, TSB, taking over their mantle. Is this like the Boyzone, New Kids on the Block type wars where somebody supplants the last beautiful young people?
I think 2PM is the other big one. I think 2PM, the majority of them were doing their mandatory military service, and I think they're coming out now. I could be wrong. I could be mixing this up with BTS.
You can know a hell of a lot more than me, Paul.
But yeah, 2PM might be coming out there, and then I know that they're meant to be juggernauts within the K-pop kind of arena. So yeah, but I also know that several of the BTS crew have suddenly become under suspiciously chronic medical conditions in which they cannot do military service. That's a music industry thing going, like, we will give you like $1 million dollars just to not have our guys have to work, so like, or join the military so that we can just keep
Yeah, I will say nothing. I will say nothing just in case. Because I know nothing about K-pop, but I do know one thing: you don't mess with their fans, because apparently they come and they get you from an internet point of view. So to all BTS fans out there, I'd just like to take this as an opportunity to say, yours is the best of all the groups of somewhere between 5 and 12 boys. I don't know how many are in it. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, and don't forget to comment down below. And even if you just write BTS, that's fine. It still helps the analytics. Paul, after that shameless bit of whoring, would you like me to open up some commentary?
Yeah, we'll go through some of the quick comments. Yeah.
All right. So there's some talk that Top Gun 2 is not doing. The original Top Gun's not doing a whole lot of selling in the pay for, the PVOD. So that's a pretty good indication that there isn't a huge groundswell of interest. Talks of Warner Brothers selling CW and merger with Discovery. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there. 45 days for streaming, 30 days for digital rent buy. Yep. Which, and I'm really glad that rental and buying. I've been renting a lot of movies on YouTube, and I'm really enjoying the experience again of just saying, right, I know what I want to watch. If it's not on a streaming service, I'm not picking something else. I'm going and I'm renting it. And it's also how I'm seeing some movies that none of the streaming services are picking up. Small Engine Repair, I recommend it. It's very good, slightly harrowing. Any coming out there for you, Paul? I think there was a 45-day window between June being released, and June being released in New Zealand, which is apparently not part of the world. All Hobbiton jokes aside, you're definitely part of the world. You're one of the the leading parts of the world when it comes to your political leadership. At least that's how a lot of us view it. So from afar, it's all great for us to say Jacinda Ardern's amazing because she makes good TV here and makes good decisions here. For all I know, if you live in New Zealand, maybe she's a pain in your neck.
Yeah, like that was a big surprise because I had a conversation with Lisa about that kind of thing of just how late Doom is going to be for them and stuff like that. But it's not. It's also there's the David Lynch film, so you've already got it. As in, not that
you've
it's a
got something to
replacement.
tide you over.
Yeah, you've got the story there, kind of, because the weird. Never mind.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Middle Earth will get it eventually. But sorry to hear that in a genuine sense because that's going to be a pain. Disney Plus, a Spider-Man collection here,
Yeah,
animated
look,
series. Yeah,
yeah,
Disney, Sony, all that stuff we've talked about.
yeah. Like I don't know. Like this friend, I do trust enough that they saw the actual Spider-Man that they're talking about. So I don't know if it was a mistake or if it's just that possibly there's a distribution rights thing going on. As Patrick said, sometimes they do have like a couple of months on their streaming service and a couple of months on the other streaming service and stuff. So
It's all a bit mad, particularly just with all the different geographies, how things can happen. Paul, should I lighten the mood with my next prediction and say that I believe Alec Baldwin will kill again? Settle down. It was a joke. It was a joke. My actual prediction is that somebody famous will unexpectedly have some serious legal trouble.
I'm trying to find the imagery for that one.
I basically I just sent you a picture of someone in handcuffs.
I did see that. I can't remember
But
where I put it.
that's
I'll
all
find
right.
it.
But folks, my prediction is because there's no way that we were going to predict last year that Alec Baldwin was going to have that tragic accident on set. And I shouldn't single him out. Everybody affected on that set, particularly the lady that died and the other person that was injured. It's all just crazy and nuts, and I shouldn't make light of it, but forgive my joke, and I really hope jokes are still allowed in that respect. But it did get me thinking. There's an awful lot of people who are in various states of investigation or otherwise that I think there may be some high profile either arrests or somebody unexpectedly finding themselves in criminal trouble this year. So I said I wanted to make my predictions a little bit more out there. That's as non-specific as I can get about it. But I got a feeling. I'm not going to start naming names because then it gets political as to whether or not somebody's guilty of something they're maybe being investigated about. But suffice it to say, yeah, I won't be rocked back on my heels if something crazy happens and Will Smith ends up in jail for wire fraud.
Yeah, it'll be something. I don't know. Yeah, it's an interesting one, and it's a bit like I guess the level in which you're deciding it's going to go is a bit left field in the sense of kind of like it's not something under the court cases right now or under investigation for certain things, but it's like it's suddenly out of the blue, like Tom Holland is something or other, kind of thing. So yeah, I agree that a kind of A-lister person's going to come out of the blue and just be like, yeah, so I don't know.
I just think the world is weird enough. There'll be another shocking something. I hope nobody gets hurt this time.
Yeah,
and I don't regret the joke. I just, if anybody finds that it's not to their taste, I apologize that joke is not to your taste, but it's only a joke.
I chuckled a lot when I saw when you wrote it down. I was just like, what? and then I read the next line and I was just like, oh yeah.
All I'm saying is Alec Baldwin, he might think he's gotten away with it once. Maybe he'll try again. Hey, again, it's all jokes, folks. Right. Paul, get me out of that quickly. What's your next one?
Which good. So I'm going to go for which one? Yeah, I'll go for my jokey one. Which goes. So I think that a reboot is going to get the audience so angry that studios are going to have to rethink this whole like reboot like conga line that they're currently doing. I think they're going to bring something out that is so beloved by so many people, like to a degree that it's just like it bombs at the box office kind of thing, and a message is told to the studios that it's just like you can there's certain things that you can mess with, but you need to rethink this a little bit too much kind of thing. And it's either because now the two kind of subsections, it's either because they do a terrible job at retelling or rebooting the story in a kind of like it's just a bad thing, or they miss the mark and kind of really kind of like I guess throw the other movie into the dirt kind of thing.
Right. This is a
Um,
fun one because I'm imagining a revolution happening where like no more reboots, placards, etc. And it could get tasty if this one comes to pass. I think we're all generally sick of the idea of everything being a reboot or a sequel. But yeah, I think maybe you're right. The tipping point may have been reached.
yeah, I think there's going to be something out there that's going to be done. I also put up the reboot animated show from like the '90s just as a joke. Um, kind of thing. So yeah, I think they're going to touch something. They're going to touch something that's going to touch a nerve because it's either done really badly or the source material or original kind of thing is not respected enough kind of thing that the fans just go mental and just kind of just go nope, we're done with this. You gotta like we're not watching it. And the studios just have to kind of rethink and kind of go okay, well when we're rebooting a franchise or rebooting a movie or something like that, we have to, pay attention and, treat these things with care kind of thing. So,
Well, I know that they're doing a remake of Salem's Lot that I don't think will be as scary as the original because nothing could ever be for me. Mario Brothers is coming out before the end of this year. I almost said it. It's my first slip before the end of this year, and I don't think it's something anybody was crying out for. So it could be the one that the message is sent with. And let's face it, folks, money sends the biggest message of all. If they don't make the money, they will no longer want to make the movies. So if you don't support reboots, studios won't make them. That it's very simple economics. So yeah, that's an interesting one, Paul. Maybe Mario Brothers will be that flair.
I don't. It would be hilarious if literally one of the first films that come out this year, it turns out to be just that big red button for studios to kind of go, whoa, we should probably calm down here.
Yeah, no more. Don't bring me any more existing property reboots. Um, Paul, then I'll speed myself up because my next one is again, it's vague enough to be fun and fun enough to be vague. I think we'll be hit with an unexpected new franchise. Um, and when I say unexpected new franchise, you never really saw some franchises starting, like Fast and the Furious and Quiet Place are two examples I used. I think nobody went to see the Fast and the Furious, or before they went to see it, and thought, right, we're going to have 10 of these eventually, and they're going to be, making $1 billion movies at a pace at some stage. I don't think anybody seriously would have expected fighting with submarines in rocket powered cars and going to space. Well, similarly with Quiet Place, it was one of those movies that came out, caught everybody's attention. Everybody wanted more. Quiet Place 2 happened. There could well be a Quiet Place 3. It could end up being almost franchisey. Could it be Uncharted? Could Uncharted be the start of the next big franchise? I'm not. Honestly, I don't think so. I'm not getting a great vibe of it's going to have that kind of staying power. I think they made a huge mistake co-leading it. I think they should have stuck with Sully, the Mark Wahlberg character, being older,
Yeah.
and just gone all in on having your star Tom Holland be Drake and do some Indiana Jonesing. Get yourself off the ground that way.
Agreed.
I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I just think there's probably something out there that is not on the top of my mind, maybe not even on the top of anybody who's watching this, but it will hit hard, and people will want more. And when people want more of something, studios and writers and creatives are very good now at kind of going, well, we don't just make a sequel. Is this enough hype that we can make this a franchise? So we may have our next big franchise this year. Just don't know what it's going to be yet.
I really want to go on with this with this prediction, but I think it's a 2023 prediction, which is I think Dune is going to be that.
Yeah, Yeah,
because
that's a good point.
Dune has like a fair amount of books afterwards after Dune, and they've already possibly gotten two films out of just this one. So they can
But
get
did they shoot themselves in the foot by not shooting back to back, and now there being a big gap? Have they hurt themselves?
see. I don't know. This is the thing we've have said that in the Dune review kind of thing, that this is a downside of kind of them non filming back to back and kind of not getting the green light for part two. But if it is still okay and it's still done well, I think Dune could be that like out of the blue franchise that suddenly comes and becomes the new kind of sci-fi franchise, like our Star Wars. So
I would be
our Star Wars.
completely fine with that. I would be completely fine with that because, as you say, we talked about this after Dune came out in our Dune special. It's such a shame they didn't do them back to back, because now I think the thing that will have killed it could be momentum. If anything does end up killing it, I don't think it'll be lack of effort on anybody else's part. So that would be sad.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that they're not going to release it in New Zealand until 2027, that's by the time part two comes out there, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, but I agree that 2022 is going to have a surprising franchise start off. Like, who knows? The Batman might do it.
Could be, could
You know?
be. I've got a feeling, and I'm working my spidey senses. My hero sense is tingling.
Mm.
So, Paul, what's tingling your spidey sense?
So I'm going to
Saucy.
yeah, I'm going to skip one of them, and we might go back to it. But this is the one that I want to go for. So NFTs. I think
Ooh.
that some celebrity or some studio is going to sell an NFT to someone who's like has stupid money, kind of thing. Like I think they're gonna make a film and they're gonna just sell it once. It's one of my out there predictions. I
I
think
like it.
I think they're gonna do a stupid NFT thing where they just go, yeah, we'll just some celebrity or some studio is just gonna go mad, make a film like not secretively, but like make a film. Everyone's gonna get really hyped for it, and then they're just gonna be like, you can only get it once. Only one person in the world can have it. Kind of thing.
Well,
Um,
they'll own the master, and then everybody else can watch the copy. Is that it? Is that how? And the next movie release will be? You can buy the NFT for every movie that comes out. That's another angle. Oh God, do you know? My prediction for 2022 is that every time NFT gets mentioned, I go, oh. Until I work out how to make some money for us out of it, and we have Heroes Out NFTs. In which case, then it'll be like talking to a crypto junkie. Yeah, it's a very 2022 guess, Paul. I love it for that. That's
yeah,
what I like about it.
like yeah, I just think it's. I'm gonna say like I'm gonna say movie. I could possibly say TV or movie, but I feel movie is more likely kind of thing. So I'm more leaning towards the movie. And yeah, it's such a dick kind of like 2022 like decision. Part of my language, but like
It
because
is. It's
I
what it
have
is.
because I'll be honest with you, I've had conversations with people where I'm just like, I don't want to be here because you're just going to talk about NFTs and cryptocurrency, and I get it. Believe me, my job is a lot like this, and I don't want to hear it there. So
Look, it's an awful lot like anything else. You know what? You know what's great? Jiu-jitsu is great. Really, really, it is. It's great. Keep you fit, keep you healthy, and it's all sorts of excellent. But if you meet somebody who's really into jujitsu and then you have a conversation with them about it, you're like, oh, you know what? I'm starting to hate jujitsu just because you're talking about it way too much right now. That's what's happening. Just so everybody out there who's a big like Tesla fan, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin person, Dogecoin, or NFT person, just dial it back a wee bit. I had to learn that as a car guy. You don't lead with, what was special about the 69 Corvette. Yeah, build up to it. See if there's any interest on the other side, and then slip in some car nerdery.
yeah,
Stop the full frontal assault on the NFT shit.
yeah, you kill conversations. You're conversation killers. You're murderers in the first degree of conversations.
Exactly. Well, Paul, can we take one last soldier into the comments before I throw in my last one?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, we've your reboot struck a chord. Back to the Future is my guess as the piss off reboot. Good news is, I think Bob Zemeckis still owns the rights, and he said as long as he's alive and in all wills, etc., that he can write down, Back to the Future will never happen. So I think the person whose signature it would need will not be planning on giving it. So good man, Bob. What a remake of Casablanca, which makes no sense in a modern context. That would be weird.
Hey,
Um,
I will point out that they made The Day the Earth Stood Still, and that doesn't make sense in modern times because that entire film is, listen, not the new one. The old one is entirely based on paranoia from Soviet Union,
well, yeah, yeah.
and then they were just like, yeah, uh, terrorists have nanotech, and it's like, okay, now you got too far,
Just yeah,
you know,
yeah. Well,
it doesn't
and
work.
that's what happens. Which is why the scariest three words I think I've read so far in 2022 are reboot of Goonies. Just know, White Man Can't Jump reboot. That could be problematic in many different directions. Although I would very much love to see Snipes and Woody Harrelson get back together and probably be high the entire time. In real life, lovely people. John Wick surprise franchise.
That's true.
John Wick was a surprise franchise. That's a great point. Like, so there's a John Wick out there this year somewhere. Um,
Uncle
I
Cruise
thought we'd never get a
8.
sequel. Jungle Cruise 8, yeah. Chris Pratt and Super Mario. Yep. Oh god, just a deep conversation about NFT. I'm 100% on board with this. Good call, Paul. See, deep conversation. That's the problem with NFT. I've never had a conversation about NFTs that wasn't deep.
Yeah.
And I'm neither for nor against NFTs. I'm just against anything that is too. It's starting to come off cult like, Paul. It's starting to come off way too cult like.
Yeah, I like auction off Dune Part 2. So New Zealand's
Uh,
can just all get together all together just to buy it and never release it for the rest of the world.
that would be the best thing in the world. Yeah, start petitioning Jacinda Ardern right now, Lisa, and get the whole nation on board. I have no idea what an NFT is. Ask somebody, and if they can tell you, then you'll hear everything, bro.
Don't
Uh,
ask that question out loud. Ask it to a close friend who you know will stop the conversation after like about 5 minutes of explaining it to
yeah,
you. Do not ask that out loud, or you'll have 20
yeah.
people out of nowhere coming to tell you about it.
So next week's video is all about NFTs, folks. So Paul, my final one, real quick, is I basically, and this is going to sound weird. I'm going to try and say it in the right order. I think the first movie to actually star somebody who is deaf or blind, or or similar, but in an actual, the actor is not just a character. I think the image I sent you, Paul, was Riz Ahmed's Sound of Metal,
Yeah,
where he played a character losing their hearing, and what that entails. I think one of the things that the Darkest Timeline has done for us is that it's
yeah,
given people whose stories aren't going to be represented usually are starting to get a chance to make movies, because people are getting chances to make movies in weirder, lower budget and better ways. I think, and I hope, just by the numbers, with the number of people on this planet, the percentage of people who are affected by certain things, I think we're going to start seeing, and this is not, I'm not just going, there's going to be representation. I actually think there might be some breakout movies, or at least one. I would love one big one that really does front and center actually have somebody starring somebody who's a la Children of a Lesser God, way back 35 odd years ago, whenever that was, with Marlene Maitland. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. I think it's the climate is right as far as the finances for movies. Smaller $5 million movies, $10 million movies are actually getting out, and thanks to streaming services and thanks to social media and word of mouth, people are starting to see them. So I think this might be the year, and I really hope it is. When you see the Marvel's Eternals has an actual deaf character front and center as part of it all. Sound of Metal, which I think was technically the year before last. Now it's all there. There's going to be time for everybody to be represented eventually, but I think it's probably long before time for actual actors with disabilities to be represented
yeah, yeah. I
and tell
think
their own stories.
the girl in Quiet Place. Is she actually?
Who?
The daughter, the one who in a quiet place. Is
Oh,
she?
the daughter in a quiet place, possibly. Yeah,
I don't
possibly.
know.
The actress, I think, possibly. Yeah. Um,
Um,
I know that people are starting to be able to write and make stories, and there's now a lot more people getting access to being filmmakers, and people are taking more chances on good quality, interesting storytelling.
hmm.
I think we're way over time, and I think the Darkest Timeline could actually be the catalyst to start getting some of those things to bubble up to the surface.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like, I definitely think the representation in that area is it's a good time to do it in the sense of like there's a lot of kind of needed new stories and stuff like that, and you might as well
Mm-hmm.
delve into interesting kind of personal ones. Um, yeah. So,
Cool.
do you want to? Oh, sorry. Do you
No,
have more?
I think no, I think that's it. Have you got another one?
I've got
That
one
was
more.
me.
I'm going to quickly
Yeah.
run into it. It's literally just that niche streaming services. So the smaller ones like Crunchyroll, which is a big anime one, or Retro Crush, which is another anime one, but it's more based on the older kind of like 1980s, 1990s kind of anime. I think one of them is going to be purchased by a bigger streaming service and not incorporated into it, but it's going to become their kind of like this is the island where you can go to as part of the collective kind of thing. So that's what I think. Kind of thing. It's not a flashy prediction to end on, but
I think it's exciting enough because it could have ramifications. Because you know yourself, smaller services being bought by bigger companies can end up pushing content to a whole new audience.
hmm, exactly. So I think it'll be an interesting one just to see, and I think it's going to be Crunchyroll and Netflix. I think they're going to be the two because Netflix is one of the biggest anime niche kind of networks out there that I think Netflix trying to get into the anime and also Korean shows. I think Crunchyroll is their biggest competitor in that kind of
Well,
sphere,
there
so
you
I think they
go.
might just buy them over.
I'd like to call out, Paul, that you've been wonderfully specific insofar as you're making predictions and then throwing in kind of and it's specifically these two. Whereas I'm like, I'm gonna sound like I'm about to be specific any minute now, and then before I am, I move on. I know you've all noticed, and I don't care. I'm still on a high of getting so much crap right last year that this year I don't care if we get zero.
Well,
Um,
I'm hoping that we get points for the vague one and also the specific one. So if I get like a niche streaming service is sold to a bigger guy, I get one. I get one, and then if it's Crunchyroll and Netflix, I get another point. So that's where I'm more playing with this kind of.
oh, if anything like that you get right is that specific, that's going to kind of, we get to look like Zoltan. We get to look like future telling machines.
Yeah. So hopefully, that will end up like that. So which is to pull us out of this and end us, will you help us out, Patrick?
Yes, I will. I'm gonna just jump through the last few comments. Thanks everybody for your interaction and commentary. Thank you all for taking the time and spending it with us. We're looking forward to having a great year. Selling you NFTs among other things. It's going to be fun, but it won't be the same without you. So please do join us whenever you can. Keep the interaction going because your comments are the most important things to us because it's how we hear what you have to say. In the remainder of the comments, Lisa does call out that yes, the actress you were thinking of in A Quiet Place, Paul, is actually deaf, and she's playing lead role as Helen Keller in a biopic. I didn't know that. I'm very excited about that idea. Pop Culture's thrown in. Apple Music bought a classical service, and it'll be on its own app, to my knowledge. Good call. Yeah, nice. There you go. But I think we should end on REP Betty White. Many, many greats were lost last year. Betty White was a particularly just at that end of year point hit hard, hit home for everybody. Paul, you know I'm crazy about a fair few people in Hollywood over the years, but Betty White was a huge thing for like so many. I watched an hour and a half of the Golden Girls in her honor, and folks, go back, watch the Golden Girls from the start because that pilot episode has more laughs per minute than you ever think it should have. The writing was a hell of a lot sharper than you remember. But I grew up on that, loved it all. So absolutely, R.I.P. Betty White. But the things you would want from us all is lots of laughs in 2022. Paul, I'm looking forward to having them with you.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I can't wait. We've got some new stuff coming.
Cool.
Yeah, so like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, which goes share us out on the socials and stuff like that. You can see below also, Hear Us Out Tube is our Twitter handle, and we're also on Instagram and a couple of other things. So yeah, that'll be great. Which goes, yeah.
Well then, I've been Patrick.
And I've been Paul.
And we've been Hear Us Out. Happy 2022, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you next week.
See you soon. Also, watch out for Alec Baldwin.